This is being live streamed. What's up, everybody? Uh-oh. Usually I got music playing. Let's see if I could play a beat really quick. There's the music. Yo, Grim must be mad at me because I play this every single open. Grim on the beat. The Cheekettes.
People really gonna think the Cheekettes are a group, bro.
It's 3 beats later. Enough powers to start off the show.
Right.
Happy President's Day, everybody. Hopefully you didn't have to work today. I was luckily off. All right, we got a special show tonight. This is episode 80.
80.
Yo, that is crazy, man.
Dude, we are 20 episodes from 100, bro.
Seriously, we have to do something special for our 100th episode. I don't know what that's going to be.
We should just give away all of our beats for him.
Everything must go.
Right.
All right, I'm bringing Grim on his phone. We got Grim on the phone today. But really quick, I'm just gonna make a couple quick announcements up front. We talked about this last week, but I'm just gonna reintroduce it because it's our new product. So give me 1 second. Let me share this screen right here. If you go to the number 3beatslater.com, you will see our Sell-Fi store is right here at the bottom of the page. We're going to clean this up as well. You can get hats, you can get t-shirts, you can get a loop pack in there, you can get a mug. But the featured product is... Turn that off. All right. You pick the challenge. That's right. So if you watch 3 Beats Later every week and you want to get involved and pick what we are going to be doing for our next challenge, you can do that. It's a suggested donation starting at $10. Just fill out the form. Hit us up, say, yo, it'd be dope if you guys sampled this. And then what you'll see on the next episode is that will be the theme of the episode. And we will flip the samples, or we will make a track to your liking. We actually have a fan who purchased this recently, and we're going to be doing a really, really cool show where it's pretty involved. It's almost like a game show. So stay tuned. I think we're either going to be doing that next week or the following week. It's a little bit in detail. We have to figure out how to actually do this for the watcher. So yeah, just go to the number 3beatslater.com, check it out. Also, I just want to give a shout out again to our guest from last week at Mobile Music Pro. If you have not joined or visited that website, make sure you go to mobilemusicpro.com. And Vortex actually is having his modern metal pack come out on March 2nd is when that contest starts as well. So that was a great show last week. Vortex went in talking about all things, including Bitcoin. There was our first ever Bitcoin rant on the show. So if you didn't watch episode 79, go check it out and get involved with Mobile Music Pro. All his roundtable discussions where he brings on developers and people who are really in that whole scene. So really good stuff. Make sure you check it out. And then last but not least, we talked about it in the last show. We have a very special guest. It's Xcaliber Zero. I'm going to bring him up onto the stream right now. X, what is good?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. And I'm going to just tell a really quick story. On the show, we've been really getting into learning more and more about sync licensing and really just like all opportunities that might exist for music producers, beat makers, people who write songs, all that good stuff. And we've been heavily focused on opportunities around sync. And in my research, online all the time, looking at, all the different gems that people are dropping. I came across I think it was either your YouTube page or your Instagram page. And it was just filled with gems. First off, that's why I had your IG up here. If you are a producer and you are interested in sync licensing, you need to, number one, go hit the follow button on X's IG page. because I mean, I've learned so much just by watching these videos here. And these breakdowns are actually really interesting. I'm gonna play the one that I first watched that I was like, oh man, we got to bring X on. Here it is right here.
One of the best pieces of advice I can give to any musician trying to get their music placed on TV is understanding that music for television is about 1 to 2 years behind the current sound. So let's say you're a drill producer. Take those drums that you make for drill and fuse it with the different genres in television. Now it's going to take a separate video for me to really break down the different genres within TV, but one of the most popular ones that you hear, especially for reality TV, is dramedy.
Meeting Nicole, there was some awkwardness.
Dramedy is a type of music genre used for TV and film. It's really made to enhance the awkwardness, funniness, the lightheartedness in a TV show. So you're probably wondering, how do I turn that into a drill track? Here's an example of some pizzicato strings added on top of some drill drums to show you how you can turn the most current sound into a TV placement. Now that
I'm about to start rapping with a British accent over that joint right there. Yo, and that was the video I watched, and I was like, yeah, this is just gems all over the place. You could start from the bottom. That's my next suggestion. Not only follow Xcaliber, but then start at the bottom and just make your way up and watch every single video where he's breaking down how to get into this whole scene. So, X, what is good, man? How you feeling?
Feeling pretty well, man. Feeling pretty well. Had the day off. Didn't do too much today. It's been a great day, so can't complain.
Yeah, I had like a park day as well. I was at the playground all day. So
nice. At the playground,
So let's start off a little bit with just kind of like an introduction. Most of our guests kind of spend at least 10 minutes kind of giving their whole bio and stuff like that. So
you put pressure on them like that. Most of our guests talk for 10 minutes, so you got to go at least 9 minutes if you
how'd you get into music? I mean, when did you find out that you had a love for music? When did you start producing music? All that good stuff. If you could kind of take us back into memory lane.
Oh man, I think I've loved music almost all my life from what I can remember. It's always been something that's interested me. And I remember like being on the school bus as a kid in like 4th grade and just hearing like Rock the Boat by Aaliyah. And I could hear like different birds and stuff in the background of the music. And I remember asking my friend, do you hear the birds in the song? And he didn't realize it until I said it. And I just realized from that point that I really had a love for music. And I didn't start getting into playing an instrument until I was about 6th grade. I tried band and went to, tried different instruments. So between 6th and 12th grade, I was in like band, choir, and an orchestra. I jumped around a little bit and finally ended up in band. And then when I was about 15 in high school is when I started creating music. I had a friend that
what was your instrument?
I started off playing trumpet in 6th grade. I didn't realize that this wasn't really my style. I wanted to play drums, but they had too many drummers. So then eventually I moved on to drums. I was in marching band, did the bass drum and stuff like that, and a little bit of the pit crew and stuff. So drums is definitely where I started off. I feel like I could say confidently. And then so then when I was 15, I got FL Studio from a friend. And since I was 15, I'm 30 now, I've been creating music on FL Studio. When I graduated from high school, I ended up going to Full Sail University in 2011, 2014 was when I graduated for recording arts. So music's been definitely a big part of my life, and I've done it, ever since I can remember.
Wow. So that's so a couple of things. First, from the very top of that is my whole life too, just hearing the stuff in music that no one else hears, and then like asking people like, oh, you hear that thing in the background? And that's also now the thing that everyone hates me for. So when I was young, it was cute and everything, and now it's just like, yeah, okay, shut up. That's what my wife says to me, basically.
Sounds like my wife too.
Yeah. So Full Sail, that's West Coast based, right? Is Full Sail in California?
It's in Orlando.
Florida,
it's in Water Park. Yeah, Florida.
Oh, okay. What was that experience like?
It was cool. I feel like during that time I was really to myself. So the one thing I should have took away more, I feel like, is networking more, just because all different creatives that were going there outside of just music. But the whole experience was great. It taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about myself too as well, but taught me a lot as far as like the music side of it. And it's very accelerated. So you're only going to each curriculum is only 1 month long. and you're going to school all day, pretty much 8 to 5. You're doing like 4-hour lectures and 4-hour labs.
Wow.
And it's very, it's very quick paced. It's very fast. So you don't have time to really grasp things as far as like, taking the time to learn, a subject in 3 to 4 months. So you really got to, just make sure you do your due diligence and take notes and kind of reference those notes. And there's notes that I still have that I still reference as far as like the music side of it from that time.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a great experience for sure.
Yeah, man.
What was your? I'm sorry.
Keep going. Go.
What was your like from Full Sail? Because people I hear that went to Full Sail, their experience with life afterwards is different, right? How going to Full Sail with you going in having music knowledge, how did that change how you looked at music from when you started Full Sail versus when you were done with Full Sail?
I think it kind of took my experience as looking at it in a more professional sense. Like the industry, from what I realized when I was taught, which is very intensive and it's a different lane, and it definitely helped me out as far as like getting my like foot in the door, especially with sync licensing. They had a career development program, so after you graduate, and anytime now, even if I want to, I can reach out to them and ask to say, hey, you guys have any internships or anything that I can look at that I could be a part of? And so that's what I did when I graduated. I asked for different internships and stuff, and there was a few that I had on the plate, and this one stuck out to me, which was doing music for a music library. And that's how it basically got my foot in the door as far as TV placements. I started interning for them, and then eventually got hired on as full-time admin, like doing a lot of like the back end work and stuff while trying to be a composer for them as well. So it Full Sail definitely opened up a lot of doors for me afterwards.
And is that a 1-year program or is that like a 2-year program at Full Sail?
It was a 2-year. It took me 3 years because I had some stuff going on with financial aid, but stuck with it and ended up finishing in 3. But yeah, it should be 2.
Yeah. So then that's like everything, like just recording, like you learn how to be an engineer essentially, right? Mixing from 0 to 10, right? It's everything, right?
Yeah, there's so many different types of classes, from like it's like ear, like learning about the hearing and stuff like that. Mixing, mastering, music production as well. Just a lot of different areas of that they went over.
Really? So they kind of talk about like acoustics and stuff like that.
Yeah, and how important it is to keep your ears healthy and stuff like that. They really break that down. Vocal production. I even did science, math, all that stuff. It was a lot of different areas that we went over.
Wow.
What was your favorite aspect of being at Full Sail? Aside from the curriculum and what you learned, what was your favorite part of being just a student in that, being in that presence of so many people who were there either to learn music, film, gaming, or whatever, just being in that atmosphere? What did that give you? What did you take from that most?
Just being around different people who had the same mindset. And when you're going through there, you kind of start with a group of people, and then when you end, that group of people is supposed to be staying with you, but you see a lot of people drop out and stuff like that, or you build like a friendship with some of these people who stuck through it. And being able to have that was really important to me, because I met some cool people there who are very talented, and stay in connection with still to this day. It's a handful of people, but that was probably my favorite part, as well as being able to be hands-on. So like I said, they had labs too. So like, let's say you did a music production class, there would be a lecture on the music production and on MIDI and daisy chaining and all that stuff. But then you'll be in the class actually learning how to do that stuff and applying that. And that's what really helped me, is being able to take that information that I learned and then applying it. And then, especially with, I feel like when it got towards the end, when you're doing like mixing and mastering and stuff like that, you're learning about a lot of different equipment, which is super expensive, but you understand why certain equipment is used and why we use certain things. So I think that's probably my favorite part of it.
That's super cool, man. I love that. And I don't know if you know, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Cheeky, but didn't the Fingers go there as well? Full Sail?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think he went to Full Sail as well. I don't know what years when he went there in comparison to when you were there, but I know that he went there as well. He talks about it quite frequently. And so the music mindset of people that I know that went there is it's very similar, but it's different from a lot of other people who do music. And I think that's like Cheeky, you went to performing arts, right?
Yeah.
So going to a school for arts and creativity kind of allows you to see the world in a way in which most of us creators wish we had a chance to. Like, we get to see it, but we kind of get to see it in passing because we're pulled in the direction of reality more so. And so, when you're in a space that encourages that, and then also teaches you how to look at it, not just as you interpreting, like you heard the birds and rock the boat, right? But now they're teaching you, okay, why those birds were placed there while you're in school. And I think that that's the education that a lot of other, creators don't have as an advantage, which we can learn. But I think just having that in your education or in your arsenal from educational standpoint, that gives you an edge. I love that.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it like that, but that's actually a great point of view for sure.
And you gotta change positions. Okay,
I was crazy. I was listening to that song earlier. Tangent, really quickly. I was looking up Static Major, Stephen Garrett, and he wrote so many songs for Aaliyah, Timbaland, and so many people. But I didn't know that he wrote pretty much all her hits. Like every single hit she ever had, pretty much was written by Static Major.
Really? Okay.
From Playa. And I didn't know he wrote Rock the Boat. Rock the Boat wasn't supposed to be a single. And they the guy who made the beat was going to delete the file and start over because he didn't like it. When he went to the bathroom, Static recorded the chorus and came back and he had Rock the Boat. So he was like, yo, we're going to keep it now. That's it's crazy. There's a whole documentary about Static Major, but that, because you brought up that song, it just made me want to share that part. Yeah, it was, I watched it today. Yeah.
So let me talk a little bit about X and what he has going on his website. If you don't mind, I was going to plug your sync licensing course that you got going on. So give me 1 second. So and we're going to learn a little bit about how you kind of got into the rest of this world as we keep going. But this is I was on X's IG page. I hit up his website. And he has a whole class going on, a whole course. So can you tell us a little bit about the course that you got?
Yeah, the course is made. I basically made it when I was working for the music library doing admin. I worked there for 6 years, and I ended up in May 2020 leaving them because I came from a background of making beats online for artists, selling it online to like SoundClick, and then the very early stages of BeatStars and stuff. So as a producer, going into that lane, not having super success, not having really consistent success with selling beats online, and going into sync licensing helped me realize how much opportunity there actually is out there for music producers and artists to really tap into this lane with those 6 years of experience. So when I left that job, I came out of there knowing, if I can simplify this and show that this, is very, very promising, you can make a career out of this. This can help a lot of people. So I wanted to create like a step-by-step system that really helped people understand how to get into this, the different types of music used for TV, how to actually structure your music for TV, and how the beats you're probably already making really fit well for TV, and how you can kind of incorporate it with the style that's on TV. Because a lot of people assume that music for TV is supposed to be cheesy or it's outdated or whatever. But I think that the stigma is created because a lot of the people who are making the music for this TV are like orchestral composers or rock composers trying to infuse with hip hop and stuff like that. So, being the people who are the current sound, the sound that they need is really going to help you have that advantage because you specialize in whatever genre that you have. So that's part of the reason why I made this course, is really just to help out as many people as possible, step by step, and kind of hold their hand along the way with the experience that I've learned.
That's super dope. And that's kind of like, I think one of the things that is just awesome about like the time that we live in right now is like, if you don't know anything, if you are just stuck on how to like break into an industry, there's so many people out there today who are just trying to share that information. And this looks like just like so much information. I mean, I already get a lot of info from your IG page, and then this sounds like, just super, super dope compiling all that information for the people out there. So you heard it here, producers out there. If you want to learn more, just go to xcaliberzero.com. And you can tap in with X and learn all these amazing little gems here. And we're going to talk a little bit about them as well. So, so can you describe, I guess, we had a music supervisor on who his name was Trey Ace. That's episode 77. And he kind of described a little bit about like what his day-to-day experiences like being a supervisor, trying to play songs for different TV and film. And he was definitely looking for like soulful R&B, like that was his thing, right? That's what he needed for those specific shows. But then the one of the like main taglines of your course is like turn your type beats into TV placements, right? Can you explain a little bit about, I guess, like there's so many different avenues to go down. To me, it feels like there's this whole world of like cue music, right? Where, a type beat might work perfect for that because it's instrumental and you can kind of just format it into like, 30 seconds verse, 30 seconds hook, 30 seconds verse, 30 seconds hook and out or whatever. What is kind of like the easiest starting point for different producers to kind of think about when they're trying to enter this world?
Well, cue is another name for track. So if you have a vocal cue, it's a vocal track, or if you have an instrumental cue, it's just an instrumental track. And a lot of the music that you're already creating has a place that kind of fits in TV. Let's say you're a trap producer and you make trap beats. Trap does really well with drama because it has tense minor, chord progressions and stuff like that. So it builds intensity. The drums are, very edgy and stuff like that. So a lot of the music that we have that we're creating as music producers really translates really well. And it doesn't matter really what genre you're making for the most part, especially if it's like top Billboard style, like pop, EDM, rock, hip hop, stuff like that. It really fits well, even R&B. So understanding how your music can kind of fit in certain scenes. There's certain scenes that music is needed for. I feel like music, especially for TV, is meant to enhance the moment on the show. So whether if it's a dramatic scene where there's about to be a fight or something like that, or an emotional scene where it's very heartfelt, there's a place for music and it's meant to enhance the experience for the person who's watching it. So there's music used. Once you really pay attention, there's music used everywhere, not just like TV or whatever, but music is the forefront of all entertainment, in my opinion. If you think about like virtual reality, all that stuff's going to need music. And the people who are creating it could be us. And a lot of people think that you need to have like big accolades and stuff like that when you're getting into this lane, but that's not the truth at all. You just need to have a confident sound. You need to be confident in your sound, a little bit of experience. Like if you're a beginner just learning how to make music, maybe this is not the lane for you yet, but long term, I feel like if you take the time to learn your craft and get into this, you will, definitely see promise from it. So, like I said, any type of music that you're making can really fit. It just depends on the scene and depends on what type of emotion you're trying to go for. And, there's a lot of music used on TV. So there's a lot of opportunity there.
What about, it feels like it's kind of hard to find a good starting point for this discussion, but what is a music library? You did admin work for a library. Can you kind of like go into like what really that means, just so for the people out there who don't?
So, music library is basically going to be the middleman. A music library works with a lot of TV shows. People who produce a TV show are called production companies. So the music library services that production company. The production company wants to work with musicians who have their music clear, that can have like a one-stop shop. They want to work with one service. That's really supplying them a large quantity of music that's all cleared, that they don't have to pay an excessive amount for. And music libraries usually service that. And music libraries are just going to be catalogs of music from different composers. So imagine if BeatStars, the platform, was a music library servicing different TV shows. They would be a great supplier for that because they have so much different music. But just having all that legwork kind of cleared and all the samples and stuff like that all done is why the music library is really important. So the music library is basically the middleman. We submit to music libraries service out to the actual clients, and they're just basically a large catalog of music.
What did you take away from that experience working with the library?
Oh man, there's so much. I wore so many different hats working for the music library, and like I said, I wasn't just a composer on there. I was doing a lot of the back end stuff, so I had a lot of opportunity to see a lot of different, just a lot of different aspects of it. So I'm very familiar with music supervisors. I worked with a lot of music supervisors. My job at the end was being a music supervisor, basically doing, listening to a music supervisor is essentially almost like an A&R for TV shows, right? So they're out there picking out all the different music, figuring out what fits best for certain TV shows and stuff like that. And, one of I think the biggest takeaways I took from it is understanding the different music and the different scenes. Like that was the biggest takeaway, because my job was to help people who are picking out the music for the TV shows, the editors for the actual TV show, letting them know why a certain track would work there, helping them out, pick different music for scenes if they got stuck on something and stuff like that. So, curating playlists, or going, like, imagine somebody just going on Spotify, picking out their like top 10 to 15 different tracks that they like the most and pitching it out for TV and stuff like that. So that was, my experience that I took away the most from there.
Can I ask you a quick question about that?
Go ahead.
Real quick, do you think that by you being in the role you were in and helping them with the reasoning and the emotion behind why they picked tracks, or why certain tracks were good for certain scenes, do you think that that puts you in position to be almost not, no shade to anybody else, but a better music supervisor in the future if you decide to be than those people because you had to go in and find the inner workings of it?
I think that people who do music supervision are they have a lot of skill. Like it takes an ear. I wouldn't say it would maybe better because there's a lot of talented people out there who know the game even more than me because they're actually on the actual TV shows. You know, was working with the music library being the middleman. So I wouldn't say that like I'm better than anybody, but it definitely gave me a different lens. Like being a music producer and understanding, you know, what's a great track compared to, you know, a track that's not as, you know, lacks energy and stuff like that really helped me. So I think that gave me an edge. And then also working with artists. I worked with a lot of artists beforehand. And even when I was working with the music library, I worked with a ton of artists and I still work with artists. So that really definitely helped me get that competitive edge, I feel like. But you know, it takes an ear. And I think a lot of composers, like you know, a lot of musicians have that ear. You know, you listen to music, you know, on your Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube, and you're listening to like a consistent sound, you're kind of doing that role already. So it just takes, I think it just takes time. It takes time in trying to understand the different fields.
Makes sense.
And so would there be a scenario, I guess, you know, I'm just trying to picture like how that, like all the stuff works together. It's like there's a need for a scene and then the music library doesn't have that. So then that's when they would work with like a composer to actually just develop that specific need, or is that not how that works? Like,
That's actually a great question.
In-house
So,
composing?
yeah, so like this is how it works. So there's different producers and artists that they sign that either submit music to them and just fill out their catalog. So if they need a ton of hip hop and then they need specific hip hop, so they need a ton of hip hop that has trap beats or has drill beats or, you know, hyper pop or anything like that, right? They kind of fill that out. And then let's say they sent that music out to a TV show. There's like 30,000 tracks, all these different types of genres between orchestral, it can be world, like Latin music, anything, right? And then that TV show is listening to the music, using all the music, and it doesn't say they're missing music, right? They need more drill and they need you know, something that's really to fill out a lot of the episode, right? So they'll say, hey, do you guys have any more of these tracks? If that library doesn't have any more, then they'll hit up the producers who are already submitting saying, hey, you know, we need more music in this style. Can you please just submit as many as, like, it's going to be called a music brief. A music brief is basically a description. Sometimes you'll see references of what type of tracks they'll need. And then you're just basically filling that out. And the great thing about working with the music library, let's say you have one track that you submit to a music library. In most cases, unless it's like a custom track that the show specifically wants and they're buying it and paying you for it, in most cases, that one track can live on multiple TV shows. So the more music that you have, the better, because you're having a lot of different areas, a lot of different shows that you can get it placed on.
That's what I like to hear.
For sure.
Long life to the music.
What up?
That's
What up?
we need.
What up, y'all?
Hey, Pete, we got to pause and just wait a second. Hopefully you could hear those. Wait.
Papa Doc.
Congratulations, everybody. Woo!
Congrats.
Is everybody good? How we feeling, huh? How you feeling, Dad?
I'm feeling good. X, if you don't know, I just had my firstborn over the weekend. So
congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm kind of hopping on the stream real late and just I don't want to break up the flow of the conversation. Thank you for that. Congratulations.
For sure. Do you have a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
Okay, nice. Congrats. I have a girl myself.
Oh, nice. All right, that's what's up, man. You already listen. I'm late to the game. Everybody else already has
three dads later, 4 dads later.
Yeah. We told him we were going to kick him off the show if he didn't have a baby this year. So,
for one, I just wanted to say it's crazy that she went to Full Sail because at one point in my life, I actually filled out a Full Sail application.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I showed the tuition to my dad. He was like, nah. He was like, I'm not. He's like, do they have financial? Do they have financial aid?
It sounds just like your dad too. Wait, that serious face too.
The question, the question I wanted to ask was, do you feel? I mean, being that you're on a podcast right now, that's all about beat making and beat creation, and really lately, the last few episodes, we've been really talking about the sync licensing stuff. We've been talking about different styles of production. And really, more importantly, ways of earning money as a producer through music that doesn't directly involve like the mainstream music industry, or I guess like making music for artists and then trying to sell songs or whatnot, which is, I think, what a lot of people typically or tend to understand what a music producer does. So we're kind of like opening up all these different channels. Where do you see music going? Because for me, I almost see like there's a pivot where, just traditional song creation is not going to be the way that a lot of the newer, younger producers are going to start making music, or making money, I guess what I'm saying. I feel like a lot of the newer, younger producers are going to pivot towards what you do and what a lot of other producers are doing. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's something that is trending towards one way or the other? Or?
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing sync licensing being talked about more, especially from like the last 6 months. Now I feel like it's being a little bit more popularized, especially with TikTok and stuff. A lot more people are coming out, which is great because I feel like, this lane is not talked about. It's not like sexy to the music community, like not a lot of people
right.
want to like dip their toes in this lane, but like a lot of the people who are already in it are trying to tell you like, look, this could change your life 100%. It changed my life. Like I create music for a living. I get to do what I love every single day. And, I'm blessed for it. And like, especially with the TV lane and movie lane, like this will pay you over time. I can get my kid sign up for a PRO under BMI or ASCAP and then put a percentage of my tracks in their name and they'll be paid for it. And let's say there's a rerun of a TV show 5 years from now, they'll get paid for that 5 years from now. So, I think that this is definitely becoming more popularized. And like I kind of mentioned earlier, this is not really talked about, but I feel like what I can see is that, augmented reality and virtual reality are becoming more popular, whether people like it or not. It's going to happen, especially with the younger culture. It's very popular for them. I see that really doing well. And music is going to be the forefront of that as well. When they're in the virtual reality, they need that experience to feel real. And the music's going to, change the course of their blood pressure, getting them excited. And there's a lot of different lanes I feel like can go, but like I said, music's going to be the forefront for that. And that's also going to deal with licensing. We're going to have to license out that music. So I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for musicians that we're not really seeing. We're just seeing a small slither of it, just trying to go into the industry or working with artists or trying to get on the radio or Spotify, whatever it is. But I think that now that it's being more popularized, we're going to see a lot more people trying to dive out. And it's like a comfortable lane for some people. Some people don't like being in the spotlight. Some people don't want all the attention. Some people don't want to be in the studio, working 12-hour nights, with different artists and stuff like that. And this is, people have families and stuff. So this is a lane that a lot of people can do from the comfort of their home, knock out 5 to 7 tracks a week or something, turn them in and be set, So yeah, I think that this is definitely something that's going to become more popular. I think this is where it's going.
Every time I see a photo of somebody like flexing in a studio with like 20 dudes rolling up, like with just like it's in a purple lit studio, nobody's doing shit. Cause you know what it's like to be in a studio. Like you're either working on the track or you're just sitting on your ass. Like, so every time I see one of those photos, I'm like, oh man, I would not want to be in that scenario. Like at all.
I hate those. I hate sessions like that. Like I've been in my share of sessions like that, and thankfully I haven't been in a lot of them. But the ones I've been in are so annoying. The guy our engineer back in Buffalo, well in Buffalo, but for Cheeky back in Buffalo, he didn't play that at all. Like if you came with people, they either had to be creatively contributing or they had to wait outside or come back later. He was not with it. Like he was not with the stuff. And so
go to 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it was like super productive. Yeah, go to 7-Eleven. There was Walmart. There was a mall around the corner. He was like, listen, man, you guys got to chill because I got to focus and got to hear. So I think that having an engineer that isn't with this stuff also helps that.
Definitely.
And it encourages the creative process. I think that helped us create great music, I think, in my mind.
For sure.
And keep going, P. Did you have another question? No, he's like, I'm turning my screen off.
No. That was it. Just enjoying the pod.
So X. So I think I guess the one thing for kind of producers getting exposed to this world, and I will agree that people are talking about it more. I feel like it's like just talked about, at least in the stuff that I pay attention to a lot, right? It almost feels like a renaissance for sync licensing, right? Just because there's so many. I mean, this is the number one point that everyone says, right? There's just so many different new shows coming out. to your point, the metaverse, if that blows up, they're going to need music, right? So it's like this, just the demand is going to be just increasingly getting larger, right? It's like going to continue to get large. So, yeah, so I've been focused on that a lot. What happens? Can we talk a little bit about the logistics around you reach out to a music library? Yeah, they basically say like, hey, we need, certain type of music, or they might sign you to be like a producer that they work with or whatever. What are kind of like the different agreements that you might have with a music library? Because I know that that's the one thing, at least from the people I talk to, that we talk a little bit about on the side, like what type of agreement you want to get into with a library. Because I know it seems like there's like all different types of arrangements that you could have.
Yeah, there's some going to be that you basically have, like, there's two different types that are really talked about. It's exclusive and non-exclusive. Exclusive means anything that you submit to them, they're going to own. So any track that you submit to them, they own. They don't own anything outside of the catalog that you create on your own, only the stuff that you submit to them. Not exclusive means they're not going to own it. And the reason, there's benefits to both for sure. There's definitely benefits to either or. And the reason why most people want to go in an exclusive route, especially if you make a large quantity of music, is because a lot of those production companies, like I said earlier, who are actually creating the shows and the movies, want to work with those clients who have that one big, like, one-stop shop deal. It's called a blanket license. So all their music is covered. They don't have to worry about paying for each license of each track. It's just one payment. And then they just let the music library collect the back end, the royalties on their own. So there's benefits to both. Non-exclusive is good if you have like a really great song on Spotify that's doing well and you want to pitch it to, like, let's say Euphoria, and Euphoria uses it for that track, but then you want to use it for, another show that fits really well. So there's definitely benefits to both. I would say that if you have like a great song, non-exclusive is a great way to do that. And some good music libraries out there that are non-exclusive are Crucial Music, Epidemic Sound, Artlist are some of the popular ones that I see. And then exclusive, there's a ton out there you can find. If you just Google music library directories, you'll find a ton of different lists. We share some on the Discord community as well. There's a huge amount of resources that you can find, these different music library directories, to figure out, all these different music libraries and kind of listen to the music they already have on their website and stuff and see where your music really fits well. So those are the different types of ones you'll see. And then the deals that you'll see sometimes, most of the time, if you're doing exclusive, you're giving up your publishing. And there's a reason why for that it's going to take a while to really kind of describe. I've seen why. And before I was like, why would somebody give up their publishing for it? But after you see what goes into it, it makes a lot of sense for them. I mean, as a music producer or an artist, it kind of sucks for us, but we don't have to do a lot of the legwork that goes in with that. So you'll get a writer's percentage, and then sometimes you'll see an upfront fee. So you'll get paid upfront, and that really varies. Some libraries will try to, take your upfront fee. So I would just be careful with signing contracts with any libraries that do that. If they do that, you need to make sure that you're not working on as many custom tracks, in my opinion, because custom tracks are usually why they will pay you upfront. Basically, they'll want a specific track. You create that for them. It'll be a custom track, and they get an upfront fee for that. So, if you're signing an agreement that doesn't have an upfront fee, I would just be careful. And it just really depends. If they have a lot of different shows they're working on, then maybe it might be worth it because you got more opportunity. But yeah, those are going to be the different scenarios you'll see.
Does it feel really personal, or is it kind of like, does it feel a little bit less personal working with a library? For instance, are you just getting kind of like a mass email, like looking for this, anybody got it? Or can it be very like, hey, listen, we thought of you and we know that you do this a lot. Can you hit me up with this type of track?
That's actually a great question. And I think that I have a different perspective on it because I was the person hitting up people for, briefs and stuff like that. And I always thought it was better to be on a more personable level. Now you're going to get like in my instance, when I worked for the music library, we would say, let's say we'd have like a pop track that we need. We'll hit up all the pop producers that we know that are very well, that fit for that brief, for that, reference track they might send over. And we'll reach out to them and let them know, we need music in this style. But I also like letting a producer know, like, hey, this track didn't actually end up working out. Here's why. And I just a quick email. And, not every time people are going to have time to do that. It's a very busy game working for a music library. But, being on that more personable level, I think is better. And there are experiences that now that I don't just compose for one music library, I compose for multiple now. There is some experiences that I have that are very personable. And then there's other experiences that I have that are kind of on a mass scale. So it really depends. But Either or is good. I think that on the mass level, it's really good too, because like I said, there's usually bigger opportunity there.
Oh, okay. And then is it beneficial to kind of like make a or here, I'm trying to find a way to ask this question. Okay. Some of the other kind of like hats that exist out there in the world that I hear of are like music editors,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously like music supervisors, and then the music library. Um, is it beneficial to kind of like reach out to other like music supervisors or even music editors? Is that just like a dead end, or what are your thoughts on if you're trying to, pitch different music that you have?
That's actually a good question too, as well. If you're an artist, I say it's good to reach out to music supervisors and music editors. It's a lot harder, but it's a lot better for you because you're not having that middleman. You're collecting the full 200% of your tracks. So you're collecting 100% of your writer share, and you're collecting 100% of your publishing. And then sometimes you'll get an upfront fee as well. So it's definitely more beneficial, but it's a lot less opportunity. You're not getting a consistent basis. It's more so like they need a track in this style for this specific scene, and you're just
Right.
turning in that one track. So that's really beneficial, I feel like, for artists or people who make very specific styles of music. So let's say you make like Nordic pop instrumental music, right? That's very specific. So that would benefit you working with the music library. And music editors, it's kind of a toss up. Music editors is probably the best way to get in, but it's very hard because they have other people that filter in the music through them, right? So there's like an assistant editor who's kind of importing all the music. There's sometimes what's called a music coordinator. That will be the person who's kind of like looking for all the music and compiling all of it and then sending it to that assistant editor. So there's different layers that go into it. And then if you're an artist as well or a producer, another great way to get in if you're not trying to work with the music library is a sync agent. A sync agent will take less percentage, but a sync agent is basically like a smaller, like it's like a mom and pop music library. Basically, it's just one or two people working with a community of artists or composers that they would have on their roster. So that's also another lane that can benefit you. Works really well for artists. And then if you're a producer trying to get into that lane, working with artists who are already signed to that sync agent is a really good way to get in.
Right. And that's something that we talked to P about. P is an artist. He has a lot of great music out there too. And that's one thing that I think we've been having conversations with P about is like, yo, man, you need to get with the sync agent and get that music on some shows, man.
Yeah, my sync agent is named Cheeky CP.
Hey.
Cut the check. Cheeky. Wait, where's the Cheeky cut the check drop?
Hang on, I have to find it. Hang on, I think it's right here.
So I did a thing. Grim got Cheeky cut the check.
There it is. Okay. Hang on. Let me get it louder for you.
Cheeky cut the check.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. I was actually going to ask. We've been talking about television mostly in film, right? What about video games, podcasts, web series? Are those media types of media? Are those different types of sync libraries, or is there money there? How do you get involved with that? Are you involved in those sectors?
For podcasts, I've done opportunities to send out like main titles, like the theme songs of podcasts. And then for podcasts, it's a little different, and video games. So video games, I don't have any expertise in. There's a guy on Instagram. His name is DIY Music Biz that I follow that gives some really good information. And I know of one music library that does work with video games. It's called Alibi Music. But that's not, like I said, it's not my really expertise, but from what I've seen, there's different ways that you could kind of reach out to them, and it's better to work with indie game developers. And I also hear that's a little bit hard because it could take up to 10 years sometimes to release a video game from what I've seen. So,
Right.
So that lane is like kind of almost the same, I feel like, because there are music libraries that do work with video games and podcasts as well, but it's a little different from what I'm experienced with.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just quick note too, E had to drop off. He had something go down, family emergency, so he had to drop. So but keeping it going here, he says thanks, by the way. He had to bounce and he said thanks. Sure. Thanks a lot, X. Okay, so a couple things. We could anybody see this? I just gotta do a complete side note here. Anybody see this whole Kanye thing with the STEM player?
Oh yes, a little bit of it.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, I really wanted to just touch on it really quick
because I've been already having some debates. I'm just going to speak for a quick second on this.
Wait.
I've already been.
Wait. X, do you've heard? This is what I know about it. He said, "I'm dropping my new album on this thing called Stem Player," and I originally thought it was an app, right? Then, lo and behold, it's not an app. It's an actual hockey puck size thing that allows you to play the actual stems of the music. So you could like raise the volume of just the vocals. You could bring in the other instruments up and down, and it's $200. And what people are talking about online now is like, this is direct to consumer, right? It's like no middleman, cutting it all out. And people are doing the math saying like it would have cost him, or it would have taken him X amount of time to make X millions of dollars. But if he just sells like 11,000 stem players, then he made like that or whatever. Who knows how many he's sold right now? I'm sure he sold a lot already. But okay, so go P. Let's hear the rant. I know you got.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he made like $1 million in the first like 24 hours or something. But my real quick rant is just that we have to put value back into music. Going back to the other question that I had for X earlier about how making seeing the world pivot towards a different style. I think this is a huge step. What's interesting to me is how many fans are criticizing Kanye, especially for the cost. They're like, "Are you kidding me? This is $200." I'm like, "But wait a minute! It's a one of a kind audio device." And another thing is that he dropped this already. This is not new. He dropped this with Donda 1. The first Donda album came out on this. So really? I think the big, so it's not new. The big difference now is that he's making it exclusive. The next Donda album is going to be exclusive to this. So this is why people are kind of getting pissed. But the idea that he's created a piece of technology that's one of a kind, it allows people to interact with music more closely. That's one of the biggest issues that I have right now with modern music. It's not even the genres and the styles, whatever. That's all subjective. It's just the way that people, right? There is no intimacy with music. Music is the term that I'm using is furniture music, right? Everyone experiences music, but they don't really get intimate, with music. And
you get intimate with your furniture?
What's up?
You get intimate with your furniture?
Get real intimate with my furniture. Like sometimes, you got what did Fight Dog say? Bust on your couch, now you got Siemens furniture.
Yes.
But no,
pow.
That's what I say too. No, but the whole idea that there's one of a kind device that that can deliver to you a song in a way that we've never been able to do, like all the different styles of or mediums, right? We've gone from vinyl to cassette to CD and to MP3s. And I was explaining this to my wife, how MP3 is the worst out of all the tech. All right, this is what I'm gonna say really quick.
Here we go.
Technology has affected all these different mediums, right? When you think about books, or we can read books digitally, we can listen to audiobooks. You think about television and film, everything is HD now. There's a million streaming services that have every single type of genre, television and film that you can possibly want, right? Why has technology benefited those art forms? But in music, it's watered it down. It's made it less basically invaluable. And it's kind of removed artists away from the main revenue stream. And I don't understand why technology impacts music negatively, but it impacts other mediums positively. So when I think of the stem player, it's one of the world, ideas that in technology and music, it benefits them both mutually.
So I will just say that it sounds like rant ended. Rant and end rant. I kind of agree.
Dad rant ended.
I kind of agree.
These youngins with their fancy schmancy streaming services.
Speaking of dad
back
rant,
in my day, we used to play CDs.
Speaking of dad rant, on the last episode, I was like, what is UK drill? What does that even mean? That's just trap music. That's what I said last episode. That's just trap. It doesn't exist. Okay, so, but I will say I kind of agree with what you said, but I do feel that technology has helped musicians for sure. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. But
no, facts. That's facts.
I will say like the intimacy factor is the biggest thing, and also like it brings people back to like a true experience. Like we used to have, like opening up reading like liner notes and stuff like that. But also, everybody becomes a DJ with stem player. You are a DJ. Every single user is a DJ, because you might want your mix a little bit different. You bring up the vocals, you take the vocals out, you just want to hear the instrumental, whatever. And I bet this, just looking down the road, that can create its own experience where people make a mix and they're able to share what they made just by playing.
It's a Kanye album that you can take Kanye off of.
Right.
That's
that's true. Okay, sorry. Side note ended. So
Let's hear X's take on it.
Yeah, X, what do you think, man?
I actually had a conversation with this about my wife as well when I first heard of it, and she was telling me how much backlash she was getting. I was like, this is genius. Like, honestly, to be able to like take away the middleman and take away the all the people who are not even involved with the music and taking a piece of the pie, is great, because he's able to like work directly, like you said, directly with the consumer and just give them a different experience. And all the points you went on as well, P, is really a great perspective as well, because you're bringing back that intimacy, you're bringing back that one of a kind type of feel that you have with music, and slowing down the pace, I feel like, of how music is released in a way, so I think it's pretty genius that he had it. I know he spoke against like NFTs and stuff, which I'm not too versed on, I can't speak about, but this is almost in his own way, his own physical form of NFT that he like kind of decentralized with the music industry. So I think it's pretty smart what he did, and I'm all for like taking out that middleman and just being like a creative, because like everybody's complaining that it's $200, but if you think about a piece of art from a famous artist, if it was an artist who was on the level of Kanye that created a painting, you wouldn't be complaining about it being $200. You wouldn't be, it would be way more than that. So having that physical form there and kind of giving more power back to the musician, to the creative, to really just work on the creative side and giving that experience for that user is, something I fully support. So I like that he did that. It's something very different, and I know he teased it too as well when he was, leaking out parts of, I think, Donda, right? When he was doing his live performances, he was actually using it before, but I didn't know that it was called stem or anything like that.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Like when he would like play just like the instrumental or the acapella or something like that, he was pressing on something. I think it was that.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So yeah, it's cool to see what he did. And I don't know if you guys caught the documentary, man, but just seeing how much he believed himself is very inspiring too as well. It's hard for musicians.
Was pretty crazy. And you know what's crazy? I know I'm trying to like manage time here because we could keep going, but I just got to say one thing that was crazy about the whole documentary. Is it 3 parts? I only saw the first 2 hours. I don't know if that's the whole thing, if there's more, but
there's 3 parts. Right? They release one every Wednesday. I see. So there's the one coming out Wednesday.
Okay. So the first part, Kanye is making all these people hits, and everyone's just still treating him like, yo, you got those beats for me?
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing, just to kind of see that you could be at that level. It's a different time, but still you could be at that level. And, from a production standpoint, that's kind of like definitely right around the time when I got really heavy into making music and making beats. And everyone looked up to him. You know what I mean? Like, just even before his album dropped, you know what I mean? Like his name was like all over the place because he had so many of those hits. But just to kind of get that insight was crazy. Okay, back into sync. We got some music to play, and I guess we should just kind of go into that because we started a little bit late. So I watched your IG. I don't even know what they call it, a reel or short or whatever. And I was thinking, like, what would be a cool challenge for this week? So right in line with what you were talking about, right? You were talking about dramedy. Have you made dramedy music in the past? Or is that something that you focus on at all when you're composing?
Yeah. Dramedy is very popular. I feel like with TV and film. Like I said in the video, that it's really honed in on like awkwardness and almost like a light drama and stuff like that. And it can be infused with any style. I feel like hip hop, rock, anything. So yeah.
That was the first time that I was kind of like, I didn't know this music had a name to it, but every single reality show you ever seen in your entire life, you're like, that shit is everywhere. It's just like
100%.
Somebody's confused, like trying to open up a bottle or something. And then that music comes in. Boom, blink, blink, blink,
yeah, exactly.
Blink, blink. So the challenge this week was we were going to make dramedy music. And then we are also going to kind of spice it up. So just like the video that you watched in the front end of this episode of 3 Beats Later, we played X's his video where he's explaining that in the future, 2 years, they're kind of behind, that they're going to want to basically hear music that has more modern sounding elements to it. So dramedy, but just make it a little bit more modern. So you were saying like you think like that's like about 2 or 3 years behind.
I would say 1 or 2 years behind as far as like the current sound on the radio or the current sound that's trendy at the moment, especially for hip hop. I would definitely say it's like 1 to 2 years behind.
Yeah. So this was a challenge for me this week because I guess we only have 1 track today, by the way. So we're about to play some stuff from my end. This was a challenge because I never made dramedy before.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like challenge number 1. And then challenge number 2 was like figuring out what drill is.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like a double challenge. And usually what we do is we spin a wheel and we'll play some music based upon the creation. But today I think we only have 1 track because Grim isn't here. And then P, did you make a track? You didn't make a track, right? You had a child to bring into this world. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to play my track and give me some insights, any feedback, comments, if you think that this is like right on with what you think like a mix of drill and dramedy would be like.
For sure.
Do you think that if I put together like a pack of like 7 of these tracks or something like that, that I could go into a library and be like, hey, I got that new dramedy for you. So let me share my screen. All right, here we go.
For sure.
And then E was going to have a beat for us too. That's the wrong screen. But E had to jump off. So only 1 today. Okay, and then give me a thumbs up if you could actually hear the track too. I just want to make sure the audio is coming through. So everybody mute your engines. Here we go. We're going to play it. Okay, and we're back.
Put that on the Sex and the City new show. I already see it.
Yo, first let me just give a couple notes of what I did really quick. So I'll kind of do a quick breakdown. So dramedy, what is it? Yeah, it's like a lot of, I just kind of messed around with some pizzicato stuff. So you have like a main kind of theme going on with all these chords. I kept it, I didn't even have enough time to put it into a different key. So this is in C. And just added up, doubled in with some lower notes there on the other string section. You got to have a clave. That's the dude looking for his car keys. I know I left it somewhere. Where are they? Okay. And then what is this? Shakers. That's just gold right there, right? And then I hear like after listening to this type of music, they definitely like break it down like this. I did not do any of that arrangement where I just kind of like left it super sparse. Excuse me. So that's the basis of the song. It's just like a C major type of thing, right? I added in this like funny. So this is like what was crazy about the whole challenge is like adding in an element that's like, this is all MIDI, nothing crazy, no crazy plugins. Clarinet. This gives me a feel of like maybe a kitten playing with a ball of yarn. I don't know. It's super playful, right? Might be too playful. It might not be like the ditzy factor is gone, like the awkwardness factor kind of leaves it a little bit. It sounds like now childlike. And then I put in like the drill beat, right? So that's all this stuff down here, which is just sliding 808s, of course, which apparently, and then kind of trappy sounding hi-hats, a little more syncopation. Nothing crazy. 808 hi-hats and like 2 different snares. One thing I did just because I couldn't listen to that any longer was I had to like change the sounds up. So I pulled out Alchemy in Logic Pro and I added like what would it sound like if it was like a real drill beat, which is this element right here. Same MIDI, just using synth sounds. I had to do that or else I was going to go crazy playing this track over there. And then I took it back out. And I added the flute in there for that section because that felt really modern sounding to me. You know, like flute is everywhere, right? That plus the drill beat was like the one thing I didn't have time to do was to put in like more effects elements like reverse, you know, like risers and like little extra cool little bells and stuff like that to just kind of like bring each section together. And then I added it with like just basically a stab at the end. Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
That's my drill MIDI. What are your thoughts on that?
For sure. This definitely has like this TLC feel. So like I feel like when TV, right? So like comedy and dramedy, this feels like both, honestly. Comedy and dramedy music, which is made for like funny, lighthearted, you know, awkward scenes, like I said. This fits on the TLC side. Like if you compare this to like a TLC show, this would fit perfectly. And it's almost like a more modern version of like a TLC type of track. And there's a lot of great things that you did about this track. One, the fact that this is your first time making either of this is pretty impressive because it just shows that you had the ear. You had the ear of what sounds are used a lot. And like I said, this fits very well for TLC. Like if you like how dramedy's shifting now, it's definitely more modern and they use like less pizzicatos now. They definitely want to stay away from strings, mouths, and pizzicatos. So like,
okay,
if you want to compare it to like MTV or even like E Entertainment, Bravo, and stuff like that, it's going to be a little bit different. There's still pizzicato strings and like Bravo and stuff, but like especially like MTV, they're steering more away from it and VH1 and stuff. But this has a home. TLC like definitely would use this type of stuff all day. TLC pays well as far as the back end on royalties and stuff like that. So, like I said, this is very impressive how you had it. The instrumentation that you have going on, you have a perfect amount of space as well. A lot of call to response. So, like the low end is going, and then you have like the high flute and stuff like that doing like a call and response to it. And then even that switch up that you did with the bell to keep it a little bit more modern, it was really nice, very tasteful. It sounded really, really nice textures to it as well. And then you even added a sting at the end, which I'm sure most people don't really know about if you haven't really gotten to the TV realm. But you said like a stab, like it's a perfect sting right there. Really nice sting at the end of the track, which is used for TV. The reason why they use stings at the end of a song for TV shows is because when they transition into one scene to the next, they want to make it seamless instead of the music just stopping abruptly. So having that sting kind of ends out that scene and then introduces a new scene with another track. So nice thing as well. The fact that, like I said, that you made this for the first time is pretty impressive. And the drum sequence too is nice. I feel like I said, I feel like this fits for TLC. Like if you wanted to make it more modern, a good way that I could compare it to how modern dramedy music sounds right now.
Yes.
And this is not just drill, but just modern in general of how the sounds are sounding is like Up by Cardi B is like a perfect example of the instrumentation. You have that piano, it's like almost comedic and stuff like that. There's a couple of other, like even that up tempo, like Megan Thee Stallion, like Doja Cat style, that up tempo club style has like a great dramedy feel to it. So, like I said, this will definitely have a home if you made 5 to 7 tracks like this, or even up to 10, and you submitted it out to a library that works specifically to with TLC. You'll see a lot of traction with this because it has that style, fits really well. The instrumentation is on point. So yeah, this is dope.
Wow, man. I first off appreciate that. That's the like most in-depth response that we got from a guest in a while. That was a lot of detail there. And that's even to kind of just saying like TLC immediately, coming to mind, just shows like how like your mind is like completely like just synced in with this whole world, because
Mm.
I'm just thinking like, I don't know, a scene where the person is looking for their keys, right?
Right.
And then in that insight into like knowing that some dramedy music is stepping away from this lane is also interesting too. Yeah, that Cardi B, that's kind of like just like piano, right? Don't It's like I don't even know that when it's up and it's up and it's
Yeah.
whatever, that track,
Yeah.
is that like all just like grand piano and like 808s?
Yeah, it's like nice drum percussion that like the drums are really nice on point for that one. And then yeah, the piano stab. It just has a comedic feel. Comedic and dramedy feels are very plucky. It's not like sustained legato notes. Like how you did it
Yeah.
here, very plucky. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of call to response action going on, which means like there's one instrument playing and then there's like another melody that's kind of responding to that melody. So yeah, dramedy has that feel for sure. So that's why I think that sound. There's a couple other one I have saved on my phone I can kind of bring up that have that style, as far as like that dramedy feel that are current music on radio and stuff. So yeah, this is definitely a great rendition of
Oh,
dramedy
appreciate
and
that, man.
drill.
Awesome. All right, I achieved the challenge goals there. First drill ever, and first dramedy ever. So thanks a lot, man. And P, any questions about this track?
No, just interesting. How you X you said that they're backing away from those instruments, the clav or the pizzicato.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, I guess it's like the whimsical feeling of that. Maybe it's just not as modern. You know, I guess
Right.
I guess I'm wondering why they're
I
back.
I think that, I mean, it's always going to have a home. Like if you, even if you watch movies and stuff, there's like little pizzicatos going on when it's supposed to be a funny
Mhm,
moment. So it
mhm,
definitely has a home, and there's certain places that I feel like it's going to stay with that sound for a while. But the more
mhm,
modern shows, like if you're watching MTV, right, and there's an MTV show going on, let's just say it's Are You the One? And they're you're playing that type of music, it's going to seem almost like I would say outdated, like to the style. I think if you keep it modern and have it like still with the same feel as far as like being plucky, like I said earlier, but
mhm.
having different, a synth instead, right? Or like
Yeah, I
a
was about to
plucky
say, what are
synth.
some good go-to instruments? Would you say?
Yeah, I like to use like Anasynth has a lot of nice plucks in there. Like having that low stab piano is a very great modern sound, like an up, nice bass and stuff like that. He did a good job with having his bass like do the drill fill, but there's a
Mhm.
lot of space within it. So it sound modern almost with just those drill drums with that
Mhm.
bass, but it wasn't like over the top where it's just a lot of going on. There was a lot of space in it. So I would say like Anasynth is a really good one. Vital's a free plugin that you can get that's really good. Use Serum as well. Nexus has some good sounds as far as plucks and stuff like that. So anything that sounds like plucky and I like to, like I said, I like to compare it to like the modern club music as far as Cardi B, Doja Cat, and Megan Thee Stallion. That I feel like those styles, from what I'm hearing right now, fit really well for dramedy and stuff like that.
Wow. That's amazing. Good insight, man. I would, I some of the stuff like I have like no understanding of like where to start. And that actually brings us to kind of like the end of the show here. I kind of wanted to get your insight X on for producers who are looking to step into this world, where should they consider starting? I mean, it feels like there's just like whenever you're entering a new industry, there's just like all the lingo, right?
Right.
That's just a huge thing to try to comprehend. And then it's like, all right, I have where to like what where's my starting point? I'm a musician. I that like kind of makes like music of all different genres, kind of like I play in a band that that's a whole nother world of like weird fusion stuff. And then a lot of my songwriting is kind of like poppy-ish, and then beat making it's like all over the place, right? I
Mhm.
would, I'm like trying to think about like where would I start. So I started putting together like Afrobeats album of just like
Mhm.
all my Afrobeats tracks. But for our listeners and the people who watch the show and like producers that don't know where they should start, what advice do you have for them?
That's actually a great question. And I kind of wanted to jump into that because I know there's a lot of different areas that I went over and it could be confusing. There's a lot of different terms. That's why I like to try to break them down and give examples of why they kind of relate to certain things already in the industry. But the first thing that you can do that really will help yourself, well, before you even start watching a little bit more TV and start listening to the music and pay attention to ads and pay attention to the music being used in all forms of entertainment. You're going to start hearing these things that we're talking about and seeing how your music can fit. There's going to be certain tracks that you hear like that sounds like something you could hear on the radio. I can make tracks like that. There's going to be all types of styles. So I think pay attention to that. They start paying a little bit more attention to that. It's really going to help you out. The first thing you can do after that is start signing up with a PRO, Performing Rights Organization. That way they can collect your royalties. They just paid out for BMI this past Friday, so I've received a royalty check. You'll get those checks every 3 to 4 months. It takes about 9 months to see it after your first placement, but from there you see them every 3 to 4 months. So after you sign up with that PRO, I would take 3 to 5 tracks of my best style. It doesn't matter if it's formatted for TV or not. I would take 3 to 5 of my best tracks, make sure they're really nice and professional. It's not a super long intro because in TV realm, like the intros are a lot shorter. They're not like 30-second intros. So just keep it very short if you can. That way the listeners' attention is getting grabbed immediately. And then from there, after I take those 3 to 5 tracks, I put them on a direct link. So I like to put them on links that you can see the waveform. If you can see the waveform, you can see when there's like dropouts and variations and kind of get a feeling of how the track's going to, sound as far as like the dynamics of it, right? So I usually like to use Dropbox. I think Disco is becoming an industry standard. It's Disco.ac. It's used a lot now with music supervisors, and it's great because you can, add your metadata, which is like a whole nother topic that we can get into, but adding, your tracks on there, and you can see when somebody opens up your link. That's the reason why I like to say to use that one. It is paid to submit, or it is paid to use after like 30 days or something like that. But if you're first starting out, you just want to send a link out, your first 30 days, you want to try it out, I recommend seeing it because you can see, okay, this library didn't open up my link. Let me follow up with them. So after I take those 3 to 5 tracks, I put them on a link either on Dropbox, Box, or Disco. I'm going to start searching music libraries. Like I said, music libraries are just large music catalogs that work with these TV shows, and they'll just pitch your music out there and service these different TV shows. So I'll start looking for music libraries. Like I said earlier, you can find them on Google by Googling music library directories. I have one on my website for free that you can access that people are already seeing, getting accepted into, already starting to see placements from. So they do work, but it's a little bit more, I feel like, saturated now because I had like a post that did really well and like a lot of people are starting to use it now. So you can find other ones that are on Google very easily. Just do your research. You'll find like a list of different ones. And then after that, I sent out a professional email. It's going to be a very short email. It's not going to be long. You're not going to tell your whole background, your whole story. You're just going to tell them why you're interested in their music library. Give them a compliment. If you've looked at their website of a music library and you saw like a couple shows they worked on, you hear like a preview of some tracks they worked on, just give them a compliment. Hey, I really like the music you did for this show. I think I have music that would fit really well in this style. Here are 3 to 5 tracks that I created or I put together for you to preview. Who's the best person to accept submissions? And the reason why you say that, or who's the best person to review my submissions? The reason why you say that is because sometimes you're not talking to the person who's dealing with submissions. So you just want to make sure you're talking to the right person. So after you have that link, you send it out to that music library, you send that nice short email, give a small introduction, and you just wait. If you don't hear back within 2 to 3 weeks, I recommend doing a follow-up because sometimes they're busy. Sometimes they won't review your tracks immediately, and sometimes they have other stuff on their plate. So just doing a nice, follow-up email is really going to help you. From there, they'll give you an email letting you know, like, hey, we like the tracks. We would love to have you a part of the library. Let's set up a call. I usually recommend setting up a call, but if you don't set up a call, it's perfectly fine too. They'll send you over the agreement, letting you know what the contract looks like, and you'll get a contract. And then basically it'll be either non-exclusive, or exclusive, like I mentioned earlier. You'll start working with them for a little bit, and you'll get an opportunity to start either servicing them and start creating little mini albums. So like, let's say you wanted to turn in those Afro beats that you were turning in, you would turn in an album of 7 to 10 tracks or whatever. And then they put it up on their website or they send it out to their clients or whatever. Or there's music briefs you'll get, like I mentioned earlier, where they'll ask for like, hey, we need 5 tracks like Cardi B's Up. Can you please work on some tracks like that? So that's the best way to get started, in my opinion. Amazing,
man. That's just so many gems here. This is amazing.
You just gave the whole pathway. That was really
for sure.
And you forgot to mention the other step that we have to shout out to, which is go to Xcaliber0.com and X will actually just basically allow you to use the course that he put together for you. So yeah, you get all this additional information. So look at this. And there's a great intro. I was watching the intro. I'm like, there's also a sample of what the course would look like.
Within those genres. So
Look at all of this one-on-one. That's what I need. Hand holding.
Sure,
This
sure.
is super dope. All right. Anything else that you're working on, X, or anything that you want to kind of dig into before we wrap up the show here?
I'm adding more stuff to the course, so it's a one-time access, but I don't really want to like plug the course. I really want to just spread awareness about sync licensing in general. So, we have a Discord community where we have, I think we have like 1,500 members right now, and even Marcus DeFingers, who's part of your program, is in the community. He's very active as well, and we basically help each other. We're just trying to help each other. So any questions you may have, we answer. We share music. That's other people sharing like tons of music libraries on there, so you'll find different music libraries. Yeah, that's the section right there. So it's very hands-on. People collaborate. There's different loops and stuff like that, and we try to keep it very community-based and help each other out. I also do a live stream every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, where I do live song critique. So I tell you why or why not your track would or would not work for television, and I kind of give you insight of how you can get that track a little bit more placeable and kind of understand the formula of how to get your music on TV. So like I said earlier, the music that you're already making can fit for these shows. It's just learning about the structure mostly and how it fits in context of certain scenes for TV shows. So you don't have to like learn dramedy if you don't want to be a dramedy, composer. If you make Afro beats, let's say, that still has a specific home that it could fit for specific scenes on TV shows. So there's a lot of different information out there, a lot of different great creatives as well, teaching this as well. So I highly, like I said, I highly recommend anybody paying attention to this lane. You can still do what you love to do, working with artists, or being in the studio, or whatever you do already, and do this on the side to get paid, through back end over time. So
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have resources like I said on there, and then my YouTube channel goes over long form content of this as well. I don't gatekeep. You can still learn this information that I'm teaching in the course, but a little bit less structured as far as like the step by step. And then on Instagram or TikTok, however you like to consume content, I like to break it down into many pieces. So yeah, that's what I got going on.
Amazing, man. Well, we hope you could join us in the future at some point in time. We're going to try to bring on more people who are in this whole ecosystem to kind of jump on and talk. Maybe we could bring on multiple guests that are kind of in the ecosystem as well, and kind of have like a little bit of a multi-guest type of thing. Maybe get a supervisor on, maybe get an editor on, and then all that good stuff, and have like a big discussion. That'd be kind of fun. So
For sure.
the door is open. Once you're on 3 Beats Later as a guest, the door is always open for future guest slots as well. And if you're working on anything, you want to promote it, just shoot it my way. We'll shout you out and let people know about anything that you drop in, new projects, new courses, all that stuff. So I hope everybody learned a lot today. That was awesome. Can't thank you enough, man. And P, any last questions for X or anything like
Power.
that? Oh wait, hang on.
Power.
Oh, that was a good one. All right, X. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for coming, man.
For
Really
sure,
appreciate the knowledge, for sure.
For sure,
I'm
man.
definitely going to be coming back to this episode and extrapolating all the information you gave us.
See, that's what's
Definitely.
great about like the 2 a.m. feeds when you have a new baby. You got the 2 a.m. feed or whatever time it is.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck, man. You're on the couch or wherever you are. You just get that little iPad on the side, rewatch the episode in half speed, and you get all the gems.
100%. And congratulations, like I said again, P. Like it's
Thank
big,
you.
man. And hopefully you're getting
Thank you.
sleep if you are. Hopefully
This
find some
this
time
was
to
the
sleep.
this was the first day we got it. I mean,
Damn.
I'm sure you guys know the first like 72 hours, like at the hospital, it's real rough. But
Yeah, for sure, man.
now that we're home, we can actually like have some semblance of a schedule. So yeah, we got some rest today. Both guys.
That's good, man. Glad to hear. And like I said, congrats to you and your significant other. Big feat. Shout out to all the musicians out there who have kids, man. I feel like we have to put on because that's the future for a lot of these youngins. They don't understand. So
No,
yeah.
sure.
Thanks for having me. You guys have a great, great great content that you guys are bringing out, and I appreciate even being a part of this. I can't wait to see what this grows into because this is very unique, And
we're gonna
appreciate the
have you. We're
experience.
gonna have you back. We're gonna have you back when eventually.
For sure. Appreciate it anytime.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of the week. And we will next week. I think we don't have the details yet, but we have a fan submission that purchased our Pick a Challenge product. So we have to get stuff together for that. I think we might be doing that next week. If we need more time, we might push it. So everybody who's waiting, we'll tweet it out or we'll send out Instagram about our next challenge. All right.
All right, guys.
All right. Peace. Have a good one.
Catch you later. Peace.
All right. Bye.